Hey guys, welcome back to another What If. Here, today we are doing part 2 to What If Naruto likes cross-dressing. And yeah, I can at least say for this one that you guys obviously did very much enjoy and do want obviously a part 2, which is here. Anyway, don't really know exactly what to say, so yeah, though for some of you who may be confused on how am I gonna do say 2 different what ifs, no, not 2 different, uploading say 6 what ifs during 2 different weeks, or say when say each what if will come out, I'll on my YouTube, on the YouTube channel, on the about page, there'll be recording, not recording schedule, just video upload schedule when it should be, to expect, or I'm rambling on about stuff. Anyway, so let's get into this what if. So from where we left off, 8 years would go by as the shopkeeper, I don't think I gave her a name, and I'm pretty sure I didn't, so we'll call her Lilith. And when Naruto asked if she was ever a ninja, and she said yes in exclamation, and Naruto asked her why she quit, and she said she didn't exactly feel it was for her, and that she more so enjoyed sewing, and she somewhat enjoyed sewing clothes, so she decided that because she had she was a tunin, and she decided somewhat now being a tunin and doing more and more C rank missions, that she decided I don't really like ninja life, but I enjoy sewing and that, so I'm gonna do that, make that into my job instead. So of course she carried on being a tuning for a bit to build up money, as she bought the building where she obviously works in now, and pretty much got and decided that instead of either going I'll do pure make civilian clothing, or ninja clothing, which ninjas didn't matter. Ninja clothing was more, ninjas didn't really exactly wear a broad range of clothes. You wouldn't expect one to go out on the battlefield in a dress. I think more so, that, and obviously if they were invited into a party, they're more likely to wear obviously somewhat ninja gear, though, because that ninja gear was more so chakra conductive. So she decided to make obviously civilian clothes, but make it to ninja spec, so it'd be all chakra conductive, pretty much, from obviously bandages to bandages, pretty much anything that she could either make or buy and sell, it'd be chakra conductive. So the one thing she wouldn't sell was weapons. Obviously she's a clothes store, not a weapon store. She didn't have a smith in the back to just make a sword or that. Be a bit odd. Anyway, and because she's an ex-tuning, she decided once, when Naruto had entered the academy at 6, she'd somewhat got So obviously she was already helping Naruto, slightly more educating him, and yeah, and helping him slightly on chakra control, though she'd become more focused on that when that time drawed near, when the academy, like, would be more focused on chakra control, as obviously that was the hardest thing for to pass in, was the chakra control. Well, not chakra control, but the 3 jutsus that were required. And yeah, so she'd, knowing obviously Naruto was the 9-tailed Jinchuriki, but she could care less. She taught him, because the leaf sticking exercise, leaf floating exercise, the tree walking and water walking all ready. So by the time, so he's 12 years old and he knows obviously how to tree walk and water walk already. Because she'd know Naruto'd have obviously large reserves, and she'd know having large reserves is nice, but you needed the control to really take benefit of it. Though Naruto had so large of reserves that his control, just doing, say, the leaf sticking exercise, the leaf floating, was pretty much enough to take advantage of his massive reserves. But yeah, getting obviously better at chakra control just meant your reserves somewhat, say, increased without actually increasing. You just became more efficient. So yeah, anyway, though, because he'd wanted to really become a ninja, but Lilith had told Naruto to wait until he was 12, like the rest of his group, otherwise he could be made fun of for obviously being obviously younger, like, a year or two younger than the others. Naruto had begrudgingly said fine, and yeah, of course he'd gotten he got a lot more comfortable in, just cross-dressing. To be honest, now, there pretty much wasn't a day he wasn't cross-dressing, as once he hit around, once he'd started the academy, Lilith had pretty much kind of, taught Naruto how to cook without burning his apartment building, and and gave him obviously a proper food, food schedule, a balanced diet pretty much. So he was on the taller end in his classroom, but even so, obviously he would still be though, and he was strong. He was strong and fast, though he kind of kept that obviously hidden. He wanted to stay at least in the middle, which he did, because saw his knowledge and that he wouldn't be dead last, he'd be in the middle. And of course, knew Naruto probably suck at genjutsu, so she at least helped Naruto in detecting and dispelling genjutsu. And once Naruto somewhat got it, she somewhat gave Naruto pointers on how to spell wide area jutsu, genjutsu, which obviously should say a lot of people find it hard, but obviously that's only building up the enough chakra to obviously destroy the wide area genjutsu, and Naruto would find it obviously quite easy. His reserves his master reserves helping him. So yeah, anyway, so Naruto was somewhat, disappointing. He'd failed after everything. He'd failed and on the clone jutsu. He knew he was bad at it. Heck, he couldn't even really do it, and he knew why. He just had so much chakra that he would need near perfect control over it to be able to produce a simple clone, and for the life of him he couldn't figure out why the clone jutsu was a necessary jutsu for survival. Wouldn't something like being able to sneak and sneak up behind your enemy or something like that be more important than a simple clone jutsu? Naruto couldn't really understand why that was a necessity, so he was just disappointed, and Mizuki had decided this was his time. This was his time to somewhat frame Naruto in. He had to hire Naruto to steal the Forbidden Scroll. Yeah. And so he'd come up behind Naruto, and Naruto would obviously realise after say one or two to three incidents of Liv being around Naruto, when Naruto had an Anbu or even Husen would come to check up on Naruto, would of course appear out of thin air from Ascension or that. She'd somewhat decided that Naruto was a natural sense and told him, and Naruto obviously didn't really know what a sensor was, so she'd gone into a rough explanation. She somewhat knew, being an ex-tuning, what they were, and I told Naruto that pretty much a sensor. So anyone that learns to sense chakra can just obviously sense someone's presence, their chakra. Though people like you who are naturally born able to do that are natural born senses. You pretty much obviously you can tell when someone's going to appear or arrive in say a rough time frame. Though if you train, and to train it simply just sit down, say in your apartment or anywhere, close your eyes and somewhat feel for say the chakra, so somewhat just calm, just be somewhat calm. Should explain obviously roughly. She was no sensor type, so she didn't know how sensing didn't actually how it felt to feel somebody else's chakra. And then apologised obviously for the lack of knowledge. Naruto had said it was obviously fine. He wasn't expecting that to be obviously a walking library on everything. Yeah, and obviously he just went to the library and had roughly of course from books that were written by Sentry Nin, what it felt like and that. And yeah, so obviously, no, not that, though. Yeah, and anyway, Mizuki would say to Naruto, can I sit down, Naruto? Go, sure. Mizuki Sensei, what can I do for you? Well, Naruto, you see, me and Eric have decided to give you a second chance. I did pick up a second chance. Yeah, all you need to do is say take the forbidden scroll in the Hokage Tower and give it to me in training field 3. Do you understand? Hi, Mizuki Sensei. What time should I bring it to you? When night falls. Naruto. Okay, Mizuki Sensei. And Mizuki would somewhat think perfect as he would get up and leave Naruto, and Naruto would think it's a bit weird. The forbidden scroll is forbidden for a reason, but it feels somewhat too good to be true. As much as I want to be a genin, I should really tell Gigi about it. As he'd somewhat sigh as he'd get up and walk towards to the Hokage Tower, and a couple minutes later he would knock on who's in store, as Husen would somewhat look up and go enter. Naruto would, as he'd somewhat smile and go, Naruto, how may I help you? Naruto would go, well, Gigi. Oh no, Husen would go, like, Naruto, did you, like, how are you doing, Naruto, and did you pass the genin exams? Because he wouldn't know just yet. They just happened, and Naruto goes, sorry Gigi, I failed. Oh, why did you fail? And what did you fail on? The clone jutsu. Oh? And, well, I do somewhat know the reason why. Oh, and why is that my large reserves, GG, they're pretty much my chakra reserves, they're so large that I don't have enough control over them, as who's going to think, it's like, well, what chakra control exercises have you done? Well, I can already tree walk and water walk. What? Oh. Then, as you'd think, though, what did you come here for, Naruto? I don't think you just came here to tell me that you failed. No, Gigi, I came here because, Mizuki Sensei told me that, him and Naruto had, decided to give me a second chance in becoming a ninja and graduating. He's gonna say, and what would you have to do? Mizuki told me that I'd have to come in here and steal the forbidden scroll. But that sounds too good to be true, right, Sensei? That it does, Naruto. That it does, and also, you know that I'm a natural sensor, right? Yes, I do. Naruto. Well, he, like, somewhat, like, his, like, chakra, I don't know, he somewhat had this odd aura that he was planning something maybe evil or that. I can't exactly say for sure, as who's going to go, And Naruto, if you can learn, say, a specific, say, jutsu that I give you, and defeat Mizuki with it, then I'll grant you, then you will be an official genin of Konoha, okay? Naruto perk up, but really, Gigi? Yes, Naruto, really. It's like, what is the jutsu here? As you'd pull it out and give it to him. This is one of the jutsus in the forbidden scroll. What? It's okay, Naruto, trust me. The reason why this is in there is precisely because of its kind of negative, say it's high chakra cost, but I believe your reserves are more than plenty to satisfy this jutsu. Really, Gigi? Yes. Now here you go. But Gigi, what about the scroll, right? And one of the hamburger, Hokage-sama, how about you say make a fake scroll, and Naruto gives that to him, or say, I'd say, that like obviously something, and Hiruzen would somewhat think for a bit and would agree, and say obviously once the time would come, Naruto would somewhat fake sneak in. Well, he would jump in and not Kakashi, Hiruzen would hand him the fake one, and Naruto would obviously jump out sneakily. And yeah, of course Mizuki would somewhat smile to himself, and Hiruzen wouldn't exactly, well, he wouldn't want to raise alarm, so he would have told some, like the Jonin, about his plan, just to somewhat obviously say pretty much obviously the gates were shut, and somewhat too safe, like make it look like you're looking for Naruto, but don't make it say too obvious, and just say someone on the line, on say the looks of someone had stole the forbidden scroll. And obviously, yeah, and if you run into Mizuki, just say, tell him that someone has obviously stolen the forbidden scroll. And yeah, obviously his somewhat plan, or whatever he's planning to do, should somewhat work. They'd agree, and the somewhat, well, one of the Jonin had somewhat told, well, it say told some of the tuning, and one of the tuning that had somewhat found out that someone had stolen the forbidden scroll, he'd think Naruto just failed and had wanted to be a genin more than anyone else, so he'd run off. He'd obviously be able to somewhat sense Naruto's chakra, and would run after it thinking, Naruto, you idiot, why did you steal it? Though, well, he's somewhat the stupid one, as he's almost immediately forgetting that Naruto is almost perfectly in the middle of the classroom, even more so obviously, like he is hiding obviously his true speed and strength, as well, say, he's obviously quite, well, he is now being 12, and say having a somewhat proper balance, he's getting the nutrients that he needs, and as such he still eats 20, 25, 30 bowls of ramen a day, though that's generally lunch, and that's when he's not in the academy. Thing is, yeah, if he's in the academy, that's almost, say, once the academy ends, he will have his 20 or 25, 30 bowls of ramen for the day. And yeah, so his diet is more balanced, and it's not just pure ramen. And well, yeah, of course, his body obviously grown, but it had grown obviously a lot more feminine. And some of the girls, when he was around 8, who was somewhat jealous, as Naruto was slightly more curvy in the aspects of say the butt and the hips and that. Though he was generally obviously looked a lot more feminine now that he's 12. he pretty much didn't really have any, like, say, muscle growth on him, or really none at all. He was very somewhat, what would it be, lean, I guess. Yeah, very obviously feminine. So his arms and that looked incredibly weak, though it was somewhat the opposite. And yeah, Liv had managed to somewhat coax. Obviously, she'd seen Kakashi about a couple of times, and Kakashi had come in. He'd known this store was kind of the best to buy kind of any clothes you wanted, or shoes, anything. They were all chocolate conductive. And so she'd obviously had pretty much one day when and knocked on Kakashi's door. He'd open and he said, "Oh, hi there, Liv. I don't think I've placed an order for anything." "No, you haven't, though I've somewhat got a favour to ask you." "Oh, and what's that? And what can I help you with?" "Well, I've been somewhat, training I've somewhat been helping / training who you may very much know, Naruto Uzumaki." Kashi would go, "What you've been training him? What does the Hokage doesn't know?" And obviously, well, to my knowledge, though, no Naruto, he probably has told his, and about obviously me somewhat obviously helping him in his physical aspects, and that, which I help him on the weekends, though he's pretty much gotten to a point where I can't exactly really help him much in that anymore. So I was hoping that maybe you could see if you would obviously help out. Obviously I would still I'll still help him out in chakra control and other stuff that I can for now, but would you please help me out with someone Naruto? Kashi would somewhat think about it and go, "Well, what would it be? What would I get from it?" "Well, you'd have a somewhat, maybe weaker, but you'd still have a somewhat sparring partner, and you'd also be helping a future Genin obviously train. Then Naruto may not be fast or as fast or as strong as you, but I've got a feeling you may learn a few things from him. And well, I'd owe you, I'd owe you something. So, if you ever, came in needing help with something, obviously I would repay it." Because you'd think about it as, obviously, you'd cut into, obviously, missions that he does, but it'd also somewhat be nice, as the only really person who he spars with is my guy, but he doesn't exactly want to be always surrounded by the youth and that, so yeah, he decided to, he'd go, I'll see, I will, I'll do one day, and if he's good enough, then I'll continue to. Otherwise, you're gonna have to look for someone else, okay? So just nod and say, "Thank you, Kakashi." It's hey, I know you haven't really decided yet, but just, thank you for at least willing to give it a shot with Naruto. Thank you. Kakashi somewhat just going, no need to. And he'd ask, "Well, when, and it's when?" And she'd go, "Well, half an hour after the academy ends." like finish his full day, as Naruto would, well, Naruto have his kind of 20-30 bowls of ramen, and then, well, he'll come to me, and I can, if you come to his shop at say 4:30, well, 4:30, oh, and please don't be late, because, well, we generally only have like the ground that we train at for an hour. Cash would somewhat just nod, and yeah, you'd arrive at 4:15, and around 5-10 minutes later Naruto would arrive, and she'd introduce Naruto to Kakashi and would explain that due to the fact she is now starting to struggle against Naruto, I've asked a favour of this Jonin here, Kakashi here, and well, if he, like, from the sparring, if he say likes what you can do, then I will say become your new instructor when it comes to your physical conditioning. Naruto would somewhat just nod, and Kakashi would always obviously go, so he's a cross-dresser. As he'd go, so what mainly you do you prefer? Do you prefer speed, strength, flexibility? Naruto would go, kind of like all three, I guess. Kakashi would go, that's interesting. And Naruto would just look at him and she'd just nod and go, is Naruto go, did she tell you? Oh, well, she doesn't need to tell me. I can already tell you're a cross-dresser though, and just for your knowledge, I could not care that you like dressing in female clothing. I can care less. If that's what you're comfortable in, be it. I don't just felt a sigh of relief and would go, well, okay then, well, I'm gonna quickly go home and get changed into my kind of more sparring attire, and I'll come back in. We can go then to the whatever training ground and have a spar. Kakashi would somewhat just nod, and Naruto would then run off as Kakashi would, once Naruto leaves the store, Kakashi would turn around and go, he's shy, isn't he? Well, you can't exactly blame him, considering, he's obviously the 9/10th in Cherokee and all, and how all the civilians treat him. Besides, I know, obviously there's Susan, there's me, and then there's Tucci and Aime, the Ichiraku Ramen owners. Well, yeah. Kakashi would someone just nod and go, And though, why does he cross-dress? Is that reason why? Well, it's the only clothes that would fit him. What do you mean by that? Well, I mean fit him. I mean that, say, like for trousers and tops. For trousers, they're somewhat slightly custom. Well, yeah, slightly custom made. More so just a tad bit of tweaking, or at least when he was around, say, 6, 7, 8 years old, they had a bit of tweaking, but now he generally, obviously, as you can obviously tell, he's from his shoes to obviously from pretty much everything except for his underwear is all female. Female. So he does wear, yes, he does wear boxes, though it also depends on it depends on obviously also what he somewhat say what he has. What do you mean? Well, he's got a jutsu that's the transformation jutsu. Kasu does not. Yes, I do. Well, he's kind of made his own variant of that, which instead of it just being an illusion, it's a actual physical change. So a physical application, meaning that obviously say he were to grow, say transform his hands into having say 5 fingers and 2 thumbs, obviously you'd have 12 fingers, digits on his hands, Kasu, and obviously you'd be able to use those 2 extra ones and grab things with them. Kasu go, that's quite actually a useful jutsu. I was like, yeah, what's that got to do with it? Well, as I've just said, he can grow, say he could transform 2 more fingers. So if like a thing say comes up and he's randomly now around, say has to say you have to infiltrate say a casino, obviously, or you could say put on obviously say like a bunny outfit, and yes, he's male, but you could transform obviously his below part, his dick and balls into a vagina, and as such obviously he'd be flat, and so he'd look like a girl. He obviously could also give himself breasts, and yeah, so like I think generally if he wears skirts or that, I'm not 100% sure, as we don't often do full out spars. We generally do either so like say boxing, so for strength and speed we focus on, say for somewhat strength and speed, boxing for speed alone, obviously like jogging, run around kind of see how many laps you can do within a certain amount of time, and for stamina building it would be just run around Konoha and do say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 laps, and that can either be it would either be a run or a jog. And for agility, for his agility, his obviously to be very his agility, we do yoga to build up his his agility, and and obviously to build up his strength we do say like pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, plank, what else? Handstands and like hand push-ups, I guess, like only using your hands and nothing else, so all like your body weight is pushing onto your hands. And obviously and if Nato's bought any weights or that, he'll do like them at home or that, though I think he generally does yoga or that at home. As Casco, that's so new. We occasionally bring them all together, but obviously he's gonna start needing a sparring partner, and he's already quite strong and quite fast, and obviously if I get obviously hurt, the store's gonna be shut, and that's my obviously income gone then. So, and I know you're ninja, and also I don't mean Kashka, I don't take any offence, by what you mean. I do understand that. Obviously, the ninjas obviously possibly can get obviously high, obviously paid a lot more than you obviously used to, store owners do. And obviously if you're obviously not here because you don't have no demand in the shop and that, obviously you don't sell nothing, you don't earn money. Well, neither do somewhat say we ninja, but obviously who's and though will obviously make sure that at the very least. So obviously if our funds do hit zero, he's not going to immediately, he's not going to actually request, say, like payment on rent and water and gas. He will simply just deduct that from our pay once we're able to, once we're back in doing missions again, he'll take that from our rent, from our payment. And so you just nod at that, and yeah. And now dude, somewhat 25 minutes later, now to come back, and he was around around 7 years old, as they don't start really doing any hand-to-hand combat up until they're around 8. Once Naruto reaches once the summer kind of hits and obviously the Gami ends, and then Naruto goes into, obviously his year goes up a year, then so say once he reaches 8, they would start sparring, and obviously she somewhat wanted to get Naruto already into kind of bringing all, the other aspects that they've been working on separately all into one. And Kakashi thought it was actually somewhat a good idea, because obviously they were breaking it down. He was doing boxing to, I'd say, somewhat, because his hand-to-hand speed, his hand speed and strength together to obviously hit faster and stronger. Though obviously the only thing obviously was missing now was obviously using legs and that, which, and so he'd somewhat come back and casted somewhat quirking eyebrows. Kakashi somewhat thought it'd be obviously more kind of proper, say, kind of what a I can't remember their names now. Can't exactly think of what it's called, but it'd be what in say acrobat numbered, where the more flexible tries and that. Obviously they could do splits and that, and the trousers wouldn't rip. You'd think Naruto would somewhat say that, and not. What Naruto was currently around though was a somewhat a skirt, and I presume you're around that specifically because of it being more open and allowing you to obviously better move your legs. Hi, Kakashi. Are you wearing anything underneath? And I'd go, yes. Of course I wouldn't walk out without wearing any underwear. That's not what I mean. I hope you're wearing underwear underneath that skirt. What I mean is say either shorts or that, or something slightly more say flexible, and Naruto would somewhat shake his head. No, or should I? Kakashi would somewhat go, well, for, let's just say for next time, Naruto, do that, but for now you don't have to. But obviously it's only going to be like me and you, and so for say obviously me and you to get say your full flexibility, you can, as we'll be alone, but for next time and for the future you may want to add something else underneath, say like obviously wearing short shorts for the next time, just as a thought. Though I'm curious, what were you planning on say wearing once say the academy started doing spars? Well, the kind of not well the I forget what they're called, damn it. Well, you know the trousers that the like say gymnastics people will wear, what you'd wear for say like the gym, that are highly obviously flexible. I should go, so why didn't you wear that instead? Well, I don't exactly know how flexible I am, and what if I say find out say today say like say more flexible than what they can do, and say they get ripped, I'd have to pay for them to be repaired. Where if I just wear say this obviously skirt and that, so skirt when we spar, I'm not gonna have to worry about obviously this ripping now, am I? I should go, good eye there, Naruto. Though I'd presume Lilith can probably make flexible gymnastic trousers that won't say rip by how say flexible you are. And I'd somewhat look at Lilith and Lilith would just not go, well, you should have asked me that too. I very much could have from the start, but yeah, you know, well, once we somewhat find out how much flexible you are, then obviously we can. And they would somewhat just nod, and yeah, Kakashi would somewhat then he'd tell obviously Naruto to give him his hand, as he's gonna say obviously like do a sensing to the training ground that they'll be using. Naruto would just nod, and they would he'd sensing out, although he'd sensing in it'd be a leafless sensing, so he'd somewhat just disappear in a puff of smoke. Well, him and Naruto would, and they'd reappear in training ground 7. It's the training ground he somewhat always likes using. After all, it was where he became a genin. So yeah, you go now then. So this will only be taijutsu, so pretty much so no weapons, no jutsus. Okay, I somewhat just nod and go, so I go all out, right? Yes. And yeah, they would then start sparring. Naruto really didn't obviously have a stance, and Kakashi, he wouldn't really like pull out his book or anything. And that obviously, like, even sure, Naruto may not be obviously gaining yet, but obviously he didn't know say how flexible, how hard and how fast Naruto was. And Kakashi would go, ready, go, and nothing would happen, as Naruto would still somewhat stay still watching him, as Kakashi would somewhat think, well, at least he's not rushing in first. They would somewhat do a complete 360. Complete 360 as they were slowly just rotating around just a random point. Then I'd finally run in, realizing Kakashi wasn't going to charge him. And yeah, they'd somewhat been doing, they'd do like at least 3 or 4 circles, complete circles in the time span of around 5 to 10 minutes. And Kakashi would think, well, it's quite good he's patient. And yeah, of course, though once Naruto somewhat charged at him, Kakashi was somewhat expecting Naruto to be fast. After all, Naruto can somewhat outrun almost a good chunk of the Anbu, because of obviously his pranks that he still did. He still obviously do pranks and that, or at least he started to get into them properly, and he could outrun a couple of he could mainly outrun the Jonin, the Anbu. Some of the Anbu would start be obviously calling in to handle it instead. And yeah, and Kakashi would be somewhat surprised at Naruto's speed. He'd be somewhat taken aback. He wasn't expecting Naruto to charge him at like Jonin level speed. Yeah, like down Naruto's borderline Hanbu level. And yeah, Kakashi would obviously go up to block, and he'd catch Naruto's fist as he'd somewhat think, am I that rusty? Yeah, it's like, yeah, and they would start the spar, and an hour later Kakashi somewhat decided to, end it, as there was almost no end in sight for Naruto. He was still very much going. And so Kakashi put his hand up, and Naruto would stop and go, are we done, Kakashi? Yes, Naruto, we are done. So, will you be training me again? Yes, I would, yes, I very much hope I can. Would you like me to? I'd go, yeah, it was fun. Kakashi would somewhat just nod and go, and, it was somewhat so nice to spar against his round Naruto. I would somewhat nod, and they would walk back. Naruto would have, obviously, Naruto would be somewhat covered in dirt, though, yeah, obviously, Kakashi wasn't as much, though Naruto did somewhat surprise him occasionally. But yeah, and Kakashi knew as if Naruto can obviously get faster and faster, then obviously, obviously he had no real thing, fighting style, so Kakashi was almost was completely thrown out of the loop when obviously Naruto go, maybe say Sasuke may go, punch, and if somebody caught the punch instead of using your other arm, he may go, for to either obviously rotate and try and use his left or right leg to whack you in the head. Then Naruto would go for his left hand or whatever hand was free and try and either do an uppercut or ram it somewhere hard enough to free his other one. Or he may do that. It was random. It was unpredictable. and Kakashi knew if Naruto could stay unpredictable, then obviously what Naruto would have to do is get faster. His flexibility was somewhat perfect. Well, yeah, heck, obviously there were somewhat there was the occasional kind of, like I should say, obviously trying to take Naruto's leg out, and Naruto somewhat, obviously, like either Naruto-san say somewhat bit wide, so Kakashi would knock one of his legs out, and then for almost all Genin, that was it, they'd fall, though Naruto's somewhat flexibility in that. And some gymnastics. Well, yeah, he was also practicing in his own spare time gymnastics, and as such he'd pretty much good balance on one leg. Well, very well. So Kakashi just knocked that leg out and expect Naruto to fall, but he didn't. Kakashi's like, he's got very, very good balance to be able to just take, say, obviously a leg sweep at obviously high speed and go meh, whatever. No, Naruto could obviously transfer his weight incredibly fast from, obviously his weight coming from 2 legs to 1. Obviously Naruto of course would slightly wobble, but obviously from having his leg swung out from underneath him, but he didn't catch the wobble and almost, and stop it within a second or two. So yeah, so Kakashi did think leg sweeps were only, say, very useful if you could get both legs in one go, or if Naruto was already on one leg, though knowing that Naruto was obviously quite flexible, could Naruto just straight up obviously do a handstand or that. Most obviously Genin all that could obviously do a quick handstand, but couldn't obviously say pull one off for a long period of time, as they didn't really practice doing handstands, as that put obviously a lot of weight on the wrists and that, but obviously you strain in those, so yes. Yeah, anyway, and well, yeah, let's get into the music fight. Yeah, and yeah, so since then Kakashi somewhat started sparring with Naruto, and they would do that kind of every day that Naruto wasn't either, say, training in either boxing, like if Naruto didn't have obviously boxing, yoga, or say gymnastics kind of training to do, then they would spar to get them kind of more blended together. And yeah, and Kakashi could see it, and yeah, there was obviously a very strong change from Naruto, his first spar with Kakashi, where he was somewhat didn't really use much of his flexibility, and compared to now, just before say the Genin exams, Naruto obviously had mixed his acrobats and that into the unpredictability. When he would say something say jump over, so if he had to jump over somebody's leg, he could grab, obviously if somebody say tried a leg sweep, he could rotate himself, he could jump off, rotate and grab that leg and somewhat yank the person up as well, or say jump over the person and could rotate mid-air to say whack the person in the head with either his hands or his foot. So yeah, and gymnastics were quite useful for when you somewhat knew how to do it. Well, yeah. So, anyway, the Naruto, like the Naruto music fight would go down the same as in canon. Though, well, yeah, Naruto would still make up 1,000 clones, though, well, yeah, of course, Kakashi didn't really know if Naruto could actually, well, yeah, obviously, Kakashi didn't exactly know where Naruto would stand in, like, say, Chunin, like, Genin, Chunin, Jonin. As Naruto himself, he obviously said, he mainly, say, held back so that he wasn't on top, and Kakashi asked, why, and Naruto said, I don't want to show off, and Kakashi something just stared at him, and Lilith chuckled a bit, and Kakashi just went, what is not? Well, it somewhat is, and say, like, when, like, ninja, like, grades and that aren't really going to help much. Sure, if, say, grades had no, say, like, to be, say, if, like, the best ninja of the year wasn't, say, like, on, say, like, on, say, grades or that, like on writing, if none of, like, say, say, writing and that, and about, obviously, say, if, like, history and all of that, none of those marks went into it as well, then maybe, but, yeah, like, yeah, so, yeah, Naruto, Naruto, after Mizuki was taken by the Anbu, arrested, what's his name, Iruka asked Naruto what was actually going on, and Anbu would, Kakashi would actually drop down and would say that, obviously, that Naruto had informed them beforehand that pretty much Mizuki was something. I told him that steal the scroll of ceiling, forbidden scroll, give it to me, and I'll promote you to Genin. Pretty much the rough of it, and Naruto had instead told Hokage-sama, and Hokage-sama gave him the Pacific Jutsu, the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu, those two. So the Shadow Clone Jutsu and its sub-variant, the Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu, being its sub-variant, and you could somewhat just go, but what about, that's just a genjutsu, it's just a plain old scroll. You could just, Kakashi would look at Naruto, and Naruto would, do the hand sign for release, and would, release the genjutsu over the scroll, and he'd just go, I see some Naruto, so I'm sorry Naruto, I thought you actually stole it. No need, Iruka sensei. Anyone like in your position may or would have thought that I stole it, so I'm not blaming you. Good, but just let out a sigh of relief. And guys, go, well done, Naruto. Though Hiruzen would obviously like to see both of yous. Naruto and Iruka somewhat just nod, and they well, yeah, they would all sunshine towards the Hokage Tower, because Naruto, well, Kakashi doing his somewhat time in, say, sparring with Naruto. Kakashi somewhat would think maybe the sunshine, maybe Naruto obviously could use it, and maybe even say if Naruto could get it down to C-list, like obviously the other Jonin and Anbu could, or the majority of the Jonin and all of the Anbu could do it C-listly. So Kakashi had shown Naruto how to do it and told Naruto that only say use that in, say, like as far as if you can do it without hand signs, and it obviously like the sun, when you get Senshin to be fast. Naruto had someone nodded, and well, yeah, it had taken him a good year and a half, but he had managed to learn how to do the Senshin with no hand seals. And obviously that's without any like shadow clones. And from there on, he'd focused on speed. Obviously, like, pinpoint accuracy and speed. You wanted to get it faster and more accurate. Well, he was already somewhat accurate, but he wanted to be pinpoint accurate, because Senshin, you generally say, like, if you're like, oh yeah, I want to be next to, say, that tree over there, you'd have to somewhat have a kind of area of, like, having a somewhat line or an area of, say, like your landing. You'd need to know, say, that I won't stop, say, here. I know, say, that, say, for me, like, the jutsu, say, shuts down, so like 100 meters away from the target, so you'd have to move the target in your head 100 meters in one direction, or say 100 meters in the other, or 10, 15. Naruto's one currently was like 1.5 meter kind of circle he could end up in, which was very accurate for, say, like for a low Jonin, low to mid Jonin. For high Jonin is around 1 meter to 500. Say 500? Yeah, around 500 centimeters. Yeah, so from from one roughly around, say, 900. Oh yeah, say, well, no, so low Jonin is 2 to, say, 1.5 meter of, like, landing accuracy with the Senshin. Mid Jonin was 1.5 to 1, and high Jonin was 1 to 500, within 500 centimeters. Anbu was pinpoint, pretty much. You exactly landed where you wanted to, or however it worked. You'd be exactly where you wanted to, not, say, somewhere like 10 odd miles in that odd direction. Meters, not miles, meters. Yeah, that'd be quite far. Anyway, and here's going to give actually Naruto some money. Naruto asked, GT, why are you giving me some money? I didn't really do anything. You see, Naruto, say, classifying this as your first your first B rank mission, but B rank? Yes. Though, well, yeah. Yes, Naruto, so your first ever mission is a B rank. And Naruto somewhat just smile a bit. And I'd go, thank you, GG. No, Naruto, thank you. You managed to catch and stop a possible spy or traitor, even spy or traitor. So I thank you, Naruto. And yeah, and well, it'd go well. Kakashi, you want to say anything? Kakashi would think and go, well, hi, Hagaya-sama. You did a very good job, especially only having, say, an hour, and you managed to master the shadow. When you managed to pretty much master the shadow clone jutsu and the multi-shadow clone jutsu, you can make what? I think I saw 1,000 right now. Yeah. Yeah, I think I can do a lot more though. Oh, you can? Hi. I'm not sure how many though. I know a lot more than 1,000. Hiruzen actually just stare at him in just surprisement. Because when Kakashi saw Naruto done 1,000, he thought, oh damn, damn, Naruto mastered this to very high, obviously levels. Though Naruto had very high chakra reserves, and Naruto also got it down to a single hand sign, that being the X, I think. Is it a T or an X? I think it's the T. No, plus symbol, not X, T. Yes, it's the plus symbol. Plus, or whatever the hand sign is called. It looks like it's a plus hand sign. Yeah, I think that's the hand sign for Jutsu. Anyway, though that would require, say, 2 or 3, 4, 5 other hand signs to do it. Now to got it down to only 1. And obviously Hiruzen and Kakashi could both see the both knew, they both knew obviously they both also did it with one hand sign, but they could see the benefits of being able to do it seamlessly, or no hand signs. So Hiruzen didn't really need to bother, because he was the Hokage, he mainly did paperwork and he was old. Kakashi, yes, it could benefit Kakashi, but he just really didn't have the reserves. If he pushed his body, he could do 10, but he couldn't use the Sharingan, otherwise the clones would just pop instantly, or last maybe, say, 5-10 seconds, useless. So you generally maybe only make 1 or 2 which could use the Sharingan, and 1 or 2 so maybe in a fight may help, but obviously because they popped almost pretty much, say, with a pinprick, like with poking one of them in, like, say, with a nail, they would pop. So yeah, they were quite fragile, very highly fragile. So yeah, though they both could see obviously the potential for obviously Naruto to do it seamlessly, and Kakashi would obviously say this and go, I've got a goal for you, Naruto, with the clone jutsu, with the shadow clone jutsu. What's that, Kakashi? My goal the goal for you is to get it, to be able to make one, by the time you get to know what your gaining team is, like who your sensei will be, your goal is to make a shadow clone without doing any hand signs. What, really? That's gonna be hard. True, but remember, well, did you look properly through the scroll, Naruto? No, I kind of decided I'd do that, after being musicy, because I didn't know, like, if I had, say, minutes or hours, here's an Kakashi do somewhat kind of, well, they both just think that was one heck of a lucky, man got extremely lucky that he had so much large results, and here's and go, you got lucky there, Naruto go, what do you mean, GG? Well, you see, the reason why was it right is because, well, you said the amount of chakra it cost, right? Yes, though it's an A rank Naruto, meaning that for gaining and tuning, they would die doing it. Heck, even some Jonin can die from doing it. I think, well, how many can you do, Kakashi? Pushing my luck, I can do 10. But if, though, like, to be really, say, useful to me, I'm looking at maybe 4 to 3. Here's him just nod and go, I think I can only make maybe, like, say, like 20 or 30. I think, like, in my prime I can do 50, but yeah, now I can only do like 15 or 20 of those. Before getting dangerously close to, obviously, passing out or even dying from lack of chakra. I'd go, I see. I'm not, well, sure it's somewhat stupid, but what you should have done is once you've, say, managed to make maybe 10, 15, 20 clones, you should have read it through properly. I don't somewhat hang his head low. I'm so sorry, I won't do it again. And yeah, they do. Well, Hughes and Cassie didn't know what, but something just broke in the might seeing now, though sad, and yeah. They go, oh, it's alright now, though. I'm just saying for, like, you know, for like next time I'm not telling you off, and I decided something really, you know, just remember next time, you know, properly read through everything first before attempting to do it. You may end up, say, it may be a suicide jutsu, and you may end up obviously dying if you perform, like, if you to do it. So just read everything beforehand, okay, Naruto? Hi, GG. It's like sigh of relief and go, oh then, is there anything else, Naruto, my Hitai and Kashi, here's him go, huh, right, yeah, pull out a drawer from his desk, and then, pull a Hitai out. Ask Naruto, well, what one would you like? Blue, black, red. Blue, black, or red? Naruto would somewhat think and would, could I have a blue one, please? Who's in somewhat just nod and pull out a blue one and would, give it to Naruto. Naruto does just say thank you and would give him a quick cuddle, and somewhat let go, and Naruto then go, well then, is there anything else, or may I go? Yeah, you may leave Naruto, and Naruto run out. I could mow down the door. He'd somewhat forget that they'd entered and shut the door. Most of the time when Naruto had entered, he'd generally stay somewhat. If he knew it wasn't going to be that long, he would generally stay at the door, say what he would say what he wanted to, and would then somewhat leave, all that. So yeah, or he'd say enter, though he'd leave the door open. Obviously Hiruzen would know it's really nothing, say, either that important, or obviously Naruto had to be somewhere quick or soon, and would tell him something quickly before heading off. So yeah, and obviously with the sparring and that, Naruto just somewhat he'd completely forgot. By the time he'd realised, oh no, door, boom, he'd whacked straight into it, and the door went flying down and past, just flying down the somewhat corridor, whacking into one, pretty much whacking and sends bone cracks all throughout the wall, and some just loud and annoying sigh, and then Cassie just somewhat just chuckle. Guess would you Hokage-sama for me to retrieve the door? Yes, Kakashi, yes I would. Kakashi would chuckle and would leave the office to go retrieve the door. Yeah. Then I did somewhat. Naruto just like he just went off. And they'd somewhat, you wanted to tell Lilith and obviously Tucci and Daphne, but obviously they were all somewhat home. It was night, so he'd run home and cook himself dinner, and then run his bath. After he'd run his bath, he'd then jump into bed. And obviously next morning, the next morning obviously, because he'd firstly go to the Hokage's office to get his ninja registration done. Though, unlike obviously many other ninjas that went in, or many other genin, or possible genin, that obviously went in to have that photo done. That did pretty much decided to, or at least his Franks Minor would walk in wearing a bunny outfit. Though he wasn't actually wearing one, it was just his transformation jutsu. Though he was actually more so wearing, you could, and that, I don't really know, you guys can have your own imagination on what he may have come in like, though it won't be what he'd be wearing as an active ninja, though his ninja's clothes will probably more than likely vary from day to day. So anyway, Naruto would arrive, take his picture, and though the photographer just went, if you're happy to, pretty much straight up wear a bunny outfit. And Naruto did obviously take it. At least the first picture he'd taken in the bunny outfit, the casino bunny outfit, that you could see my, I guess, sexy jutsu in. But yeah, though he'd then obviously dispel his transformation, and the photographer, you want me to check it again? Well, yeah, I'll give the second. Well, could you print those both out? You sure, kid? Yeah, I'm sure. Well, if you're alright with paying this slightly extra cost, then be it. And yeah, Naruto, I would pay the slightly more extra cost. And yeah, because Naruto somewhat handle his first picture to chastise Naruto for wearing something like that. Yeah, though Naruto pretty much busted out laughing, and Hiruzen just sighed. Though Naruto would give him a second one. Like, the second one he took, which will be the one that you guys, in your own say, had decide on what he'd wear. And Hiruzen just go, well, this one's more acceptable, Naruto. And somewhat just nod and go, well, I planned on that. No. Yeah, though obviously he ended up having a running with Konohamaru, as Konohamaru running and would do the same thing kind of in canon. He'd try and off his grandfather, and well, yeah, though he'd trip over and he'd blame on Naruto, and obviously though he'd think Naruto was somewhat flat-chested girl, though Naruto, well, A, wasn't a girl, and B, well, yeah, of course he would be flat-chested in the beginning. So yeah, and well, yeah, and he said it was, well, obviously, you're the one that tripped him over, and Naruto would somewhat whack him over the head. And go, would somewhat obviously pick him up and go, well, like, you won't hit me, the Hokage's my grandfather. Naruto just somewhat look at Hiruzen would dip his head and would sigh, and Naruto would just look up at him and go, I don't care if you're your grandmother, whack. Yeah, and well, yeah, obviously kind of go, this person, she's different, and would pass out. Yeah, not knowing, because obviously Naruto's voice went from somewhat relatively, say, somewhat gentle and sweet to more, or at least when he was angered, it went like from being like, say, on the line, well, say, being nice, say, gentle, soothing and sweet, to pretty much obviously masculine. So Konohamaru wasn't exactly 100% sure if Naruto was boy or girl, male or female. And yeah, I'm gonna end it here, guys. I did want to go further within this what if, but yeah, I wanted to get to at least the team selection, which I haven't, but that'll be in the next part 3. That's if you guys want a part 3. So yeah, guys, if you have enjoyed this, tell me in the comments down below. If you want a part 3, tell me in the comments down below that you want to see a part 3. And yeah, guys, hope you've enjoyed it, and yeah, stay safe, have a good day or night, depending on where and when or where, well, yeah, when and whatever time you're watching this, and yeah, good bye.